Welcome back to the Rise with Anita podcast, or welcome if you're new here. If you're new here, this is a space where ambition meets embodiment, where soul meets strategy, and where we don't just talk about transformation, we learn how to actually live it. So last week, we talked about why so many women struggle to receive, whether that's love, support, abundance, and success. But after that episode, I kept coming back to this realization that I don't think we actually talk about enough. Because receiving sounds amazing until it requires a boundary, until it requires us saying no, until someone has to be disappointed. And suddenly, receiving doesn't feel empowering anymore. It feels unsafe. But before we dive in, I invite you to arrive with me. If you're able to do so and you're not driving, please place your feet on the floor. Gently relax your shoulders. Release any tension you might have in the jaw. Take a slow inhale through the nose for 4. Hold for 4, 2, 3, and release through the mouth for 6. One more deep inhale through the nose for 4. Hold for 4. And release through the mouth for 6. And I simply want you to ask yourself, who am I afraid of disappointing? And just notice who immediately comes to mind. And from that place, let's begin. So one of the biggest myths we've been taught is that boundaries are about pushing people away. They're not. Boundaries are often what actually allows us to stop abandoning ourselves. And here's what I've noticed. So many women will come to me and tell me they want more peace. They want to create more space in their lives. They want more support, the feeling of freedom, more time, more energy. But the life that they're actually asking for requires them to start saying no to the life that they've become responsible for. And that's where it gets uncomfortable, because many of us have learned that love is connected to being available, being helpful, being the dependable, reliable one, the one who always says yes. And so when your nervous system has associated being needed with being loved, every boundary you start to place feels dangerous. And this isn't just about saying no to someone else's request. It's about saying no to the identity you've lived inside of. Many of us look at ourselves as the good daughter, the peacekeeper, the friend that everyone relies on, the woman who keeps everything together. And because, if we think about it, you've spent years earning love through overfunctioning. And receiving actually requires us to retire that role. But the identity doesn't just disappear quietly. It puts up a fight to survive. And that's why setting one boundary can feel physically uncomfortable. You may experience your heart racing, your stomach tightening. You might over-explain yourself. You may actually over-apologize because it's unfamiliar. And then you start to wonder, am I being selfish? And it's not because you're doing something wrong. It's because your body is interpreting the potential disappointment as danger because it's outside of your character. I want you to think about something real quick. If you've been the person in your day-to-day life who goes, I've got it. Someone offers to carry something for you. I've got it. Someone opens the door for you. I've got it. Someone offers to help you with a project. I've got it. Someone pays for dinner. No, I'll take care of it. I've got it. These are subtle signs that actually have us blocking our receiving capabilities. And I want you to take a moment also to think about when someone asks you how you're doing and you respond with, I'm fine. I recently heard the acronym FINE as feelings inside, not expressed. So next time you're thinking you're fine, maybe evaluate what's coming up inside of you. And here's the thing. All these traits look like, oh, it's just me being independent. I've got this. We created an identity of not needing. But it actually is a subtle sign of what your nervous system is actually believing it's the safest for you. Because sometimes I've got it isn't actually independence or confidence, it's protection. It became your survival strategy that once was keeping you safe. But what has protected you back then may be preventing you from receiving the life that you once prayed for. I'm going to run that one back. What once protected you may be the very thing that is blocking you from actually receiving the life you're praying for. And so one of the subtlest yet biggest shifts I've had to make in my own life was realizing that someone else's disappointment isn't evidence that I've done something wrong. And sometimes it's actually evidence that I've stopped abandoning myself in the process. So I'm going to say that one again as well. Someone else's disappointment isn't proof that you're selfish. It's actually proof that you're finally beginning to choose yourself. And when I think about boundaries and choosing ourselves and how we actually can realize that actually by me saying no allows me to be congruent with what I want, is the frame of we only have 24 hours in a day. So if you say yes to every opportunity, to every time someone needs you, to every phone call, to showing up, sometimes you're saying no to your dreams, to your business, to your fitness, to your cup, to filling who you need to be. Oftentimes they say women, especially, can operate, you can't pour from an empty cup. And I strongly disagree with that because I have seen it firsthand. Women are able to not only pour from an empty cup, they are able to go past the cup because they will find the strength even after they're depleted, and that doesn't make it right. So it's about learning to step back, to pause, and asking yourself, what is my intent in this showing up? It doesn't mean you start abandoning your relationships in its entirety, but what it does mean is that you start to look at the lens of how am I actually trying to show up in this relationship? What am I trying to gain? What is the most loving option for me? Because sometimes the most loving option is going to be showing up for that person who needs you. And other times the most loving option for yourself is to stay connected and committed to what it is that you are trying to achieve and what you are trying to do and what you need. And you have to think about it this way. Every time we choose ourselves, someone will benefit less from the version of you who never had boundaries. And that doesn't make the boundary wrong. It simply means that the relationship and how it's formed is changing. You see, I think there's a big thing for high achieving women here, because many of us become successful because we are capable. We solve problems. We can anticipate needs. We carry the responsibility. We become the person that everyone relies on. And yet, we create this identity that everyone expects that version of us 100% of it, even ourselves. So when you finally decide, you know what, I actually need some help. I need to rest. And this is where many of us have a hard time receiving rest because it doesn't feel productive. I don't have the capacity for this right now. The nervous system begins to panic because the boundary is unfamiliar. It's not that it's unsafe, it's unfamiliar. So here's what I want you to really practice this week. Before you say yes, pause. Take a deep breath. And instead of asking, what are they going to think if I say no? Ask yourself, what is the most loving thing for me? Not the easiest and not the least disappointing. The most loving. Because the version of you that you're becoming isn't responsible for managing everyone else's emotions. She's responsible for honoring her own emotions, her own needs. So if you take nothing else away from today's episode, let it be this. The life you're asking for probably will disappoint the version of you who thought and believed she had to keep everyone else comfortable. And that's completely okay. Because healing isn't actually measured by how many people approve of our boundaries. It's measured by how safe you feel in honoring them. The people who benefit the most from your lack of boundaries may not celebrate your next level. They may not celebrate the healing, but the future version of you will. And she's worth disappointing a few expectations for. So if this episode resonated with you, please send it to someone whose first instinct is, I've got it. And share it on Instagram, tag me, or send me a DM of what resonated for you, how this relates to where you might be in your life. And until next time, keep choosing the woman you're becoming, and I'll see you in the next episode.